Okay, so this is the same thing as the notes that we did yesterday. So we're converting from radians to degrees, or degrees to radians for these first two groups. So this first one starts in degrees, so we want to convert it to radians. So remember, you got 180 over pi or pi over 180. We'll do that for you. So to get rid of the degrees, if you want to cancel the degrees, you want the 180 in the bottom. If you want to cancel the pi, you want the pi on the bottom. So if you're going from degrees to radians, like the first group, you want to end up with a pi, so the pi is on top, and you want to cancel the degrees, so the 180 is on the bottom. So the 225 will multiply by pi over 180, and then you just multiply the top with the top, the bottom with the bottom. So it'll be 225 pi over 180, and you simplify that fraction. With the TI-84 calculator, or a lot of different calculators, you can use those to simplify fractions. And so you should have that on your Chromebook. So you can use that to simplify the fraction. Just type in the 225 over 180, and it will simplify it for you. Now, there's a couple different ways to do it. If you hit the alpha button and then the y equals button, it'll give you fraction options to use. That's a good way to do it. Or if you just do 225 divided by 180 and turn it into a decimal, it'll give you 1.25 as a decimal. And then on your TI-84, you just hit the math button. Find the math button on there. And then the first option has a little arrow and it says frac. So then you select that first option, hit enter, and then it will say answer with a little arrow to frac. So that will change your answer into a fraction. And if you just hit enter again, it will switch it to 5/4. And then you just put pi in your answer. So if you're using the calculator, don't put the pi in. See how I didn't put the pi in that fraction. Otherwise, you'll just get a decimal answer with the pi included. You want the fraction answer and then put the pi on yourself. Okay, so all of these first group, you're multiplying it by pi over 180, and then you switched it into radians. So this would be 5 pi over 4 radians. To go the opposite way, you just flip the fraction. Take 180 over pi, and multiply it by whatever you have here. So 23 pi over 12 will get multiplied by 180 over pi. So I remember I want the pi in the bottom because I want the pi's to cancel out. If I'm switching to degrees, I'm not going to have a pi in my answer. So I just multiply straight across here. 23 times 180. It's going to give me 4,140. And then on the bottom, I'm just going to have 12. So take that 4140 divided by 12, and you're going to come out to 345. So there's the degrees for that angle. Okay, same thing with all those. Just multiply each one by the pi over 180. 180 over pi. Multiply each of those by 180 over pi, and then just simplify what you've got. Okay, use the calculators to help you out simplifying. Sketching the angles, we looked at that in the previous video as well. The easiest way to do that is to label each of the corners and then figure out where will 115 be. It's going to be between 90 and 180. So it's going to be in the second quadrant over here. So that's quadrant 2. And then to figure out which one is it closer to, just take 115, subtract 90. You're going to be left with 25. So it's 25 degrees away from 90. And if you take 180, subtract 115, it's going to be 65 degrees away from 180. So it's going to be a bit closer to 90, so somewhere in there. Um, Probably a little bit closer to 90 than that even, but I'm not going to be real picky on super precision. Maybe somewhere in there. That's close enough. That's going to be about 115. Um, so then it says to give me two coterminal angles, and one positive and one negative, and the reference angle. So remember, the reference angle is the angle between our ray and the x-axis. So it's the difference there. So you want to take 180, subtract 115, and that's going to give us the 65. So that 65 is going to be our reference angle. Okay. Coterminal angles, remember, you just add or subtract 360 to get those. So just take 360 plus the 115. Okay, so if I add that, we're going to get 475. So there's one of coterminal angle, that's the positive. To get the negative, I just subtract 360. And take 115, subtract 360, and it's going to leave me with negative 245. Okay, so there's my coterminal angles, reference angle. I already found that, 65. All right, so that's our idea there. Just sketch the angle and then add or subtract 360 to get the coterminals. The reference angle is the difference between our angle and the x-axis.